Okay, we're now also being joined in our Lagos studios by Mr. Festus Okoye, the National Commissioner and Chair, Information and Voter Education of INEC. Thank you so much indeed for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning. You heard his submissions and saying that perhaps if we don't have that electoral amendment bill signed by Mr. President, when he does that or when he returns to the country, it will be a major problem. But you are the umpire. Do you see this as a major concern?
Well, you know, as an electoral management body, our responsibility is to work with the law as it exists as of today. And we have the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. And we also have the Electoral Amendment Act 2015. These are the two laws that are extant as of today. And these are the two laws we are working with. Now, I agree that the version of the electoral of the amendments that has been passed by both houses of the National Assembly contains some innovations and creative ways in which we can get our elections up to speed.
You mean the card reader?
Yes, it contains provisions legitimizing, so to say, the use of the card reader and also legitimizing the use of other technologies in our elections. And it also has provisions relating to the limits on the amount of money which presidential candidates, gubernatorial candidates, and senatorial candidates can spend in an election. And also, there's also the provision relating to the party primary elections, which for me is no longer, even if the amendment is signed now, is no longer applicable. Because one of the things the amendments made to Section 87 in the new amendment is to the effect that before a political party will conduct its party primary elections for the election of its candidates, such a political party must publish the date, the venue, and the time for such party primary elections in 2 national newspapers at least 10 days before the event, to prevent a situation where the leadership of a political party will ambush the others by changing the venue arbitrarily and so on and so forth. So these are some of the innovations that we have in the amendments that can enhance our internal party democracy and also take our elections to the next level. But as I say, what we have done and what we're doing as an electoral management body is, one, to work with the existing law as it is. Secondly, to also prepare in case the president signs the amendments to the Electoral Act, so that we are not caught unawares. So we have the existing plan, and we also have a backup plan in case the amendments to the Electoral Act is signed.
Because the INEC chairman came out to say that it looks from the look of things,
yes,
they may just have to resort to using the 2010 Amendment Act to conduct these elections. And that gives a lot of other parties, if you will, the concern that this perhaps is not a step in the right direction. These Amendment Acts needs to be signed. Is that the case?
Look, there are 2 major issues in the new amendment. And those 2 major issues relates to the place of the card reader in the electoral process. And the second one relates to the issue of electronic collation and transmission of results. Now, the issue of the card reader, for me, is very, very clear. The Supreme Court has said and made it very clear that the card reader is a very good innovation that has been introduced in the electoral process. And we can continue to use the smart card readers in our elections to verify that the person who has presented himself or herself is the authentic owner of the PVC, and also to authenticate the biometrics of the holder of the card. This will continue to be used, whether the amendment is signed or the amendment is not signed. Secondly, we have our own guidelines and we have our own manuals that regulates and guides the way the presiding officers deal with issues arising from the card reader. So whether the amendment is signed or not, we are going to use the card reader for the 2019 elections. And the Independent National Electoral Commission has also taken on board some of the glitches that we had in the 2015 elections and some of the criticisms that people have made in relation to the use of the card reader. We have enhanced the power of the card reader in terms of his ability to read the permanent voters cards and also his ability to read the biometrics. You will see that in the standalone elections that we have conducted, the issue of the card reader being unable to read the biometrics is no longer a major issue. And for us, if a voter goes to the polling unit, at least for the 2019 elections, and the presiding officer confirms that the name of the voter is on the voters register, and that the picture on the voters register is that of the voter, and the smart card reader reads the smart card to say, oh, it's authentic, it was issued by the Independent National Electoral Commission.
Yes, we understand all of that, but if you say that
Yes.
whether we like it or not,
Yes.
you're still going to use the card reader for the to prosecute the 2019 general elections.
Yes.
That will still take us back to the kinds of issues we had, especially when the CSOs, that would be civil society organizations now,
Yes.
say that there's just this much complaints that are coming out from the elections. You may just be doubling the complaints again in 2019.
No. You see, we need to separate two issues. We need to separate the place of the card reader in the electoral process from what happened in the various election tribunals after the 2015 elections. Some of the challenges people had was that some of us who are legal practitioners wanted to tender only the report and the results from the card reader as a means of proving overvoting in the electoral process. And the Supreme Court said, no, if you want to prove overvoting in the electoral process, there are certain things you need to do. You need to tender the various forms that we are using in the elections before you can supplement it with the report from the card reader. You cannot tender the report from the card reader alone and think that you can prove overvoting on the basis of that. That you have to tender the voters register to show the number of people that registered. You have to also tender the various forms from EC8A and the various forms used in the elections. And it is a compendium of this that you can use in proving overvoting. Okay, but in terms of...
Let's just quickly go on a short break. I would like you to continue on your thoughts.
Very well.
Join us again.